Welcome to the Success Pick and Mix podcast. I'm your host, Nicky Raby, a professional pick and mixer. I'm a personal brand coach, a speaker, an actor, a creator, and a podcaster. I'm on a mission to help you find and create your version of success. Your pick and mix of life and business on your terms. A blend that complements your personality, your goals, and your circumstances. Since 2018, I've been sharing interviews and mini episodes to help you unlock your next step, to make it real and make it happen. Round here, we dream big. We go for the ideal version. We talk about money and make moves our future selves would be proud of. This podcast is free and available for you whenever you need it. So do rate, review, and subscribe for new episodes. If you want to go deeper with my support, check out my freebies house and unlock the rooms you choose. nickyraby.com/freebies house. I also have workshops, programs, and one-on-one bespoke offerings. For prices and availability, go to nickyraby.com. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me and my guests. Now, on to today's episode. Welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode is with a returning guest. I spoke to Susie nearly 5 years ago. Can you believe it? We had a general catch up, but actually it was more emotional, I think, than either of us expected it to be. This is a very, hopefully, uplifting conversation about business and change and pivoting, and not necessarily in the conversation that we've had in 2020 of like, right, I'm now going to make an online business. What we talk about here is those internal changes when you begin a new chapter, when you start something new, when you make way for something, make space for something, and as soon as you do that, it feels like all of this stuff comes to the surface. I want to thank Susie so much for bringing this kind of conversation to the table. I know that it's been a conversation that stayed with me since we recorded it, and I hope you find it useful too. If you want to come and join the conversation, I will of course leave our links down below. Let us know what you thought, and if you want to buy a coffee, you absolutely can. This podcast is free, but that's just an added bonus. If you got something from the chat, you're more than welcome to do that, and you can buy one for Susie as well. I will make sure that she gets it. All right, I will see you on the other side, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Susie, welcome back. Hello to the podcast. I'm so delighted that you're here. You can go ahead. I think you were episode 91. So for those of you who are brand new to your world, will you explain what you do and what you're all about?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, thank you for having me back. It's amazing to be back. And you just told me that it was 5 years ago, which to me is just so nuts. I can't believe that. So I'm Susie Lodge. I am the founder of wikiplacesforkids.com, which is a TripAdvisor for parents looking for things to do with their kids, where everything is entirely parent recommended. And I am now also the founder of the WikiBiz Network, which is essentially a female founders club for super amazing, powerful women who either have their own businesses or their own entities or projects or purpose for some in whatever cause. And it is an amazing space to bring people together, to foster connection, to support and to help grow businesses. And essentially I sit in the center of both of these businesses as a super connector between parents, children, women, businesses, and to help foster those connections to grow memories and as I said, to grow business opportunities.
That's how I see you completely, as that super connector, that ability to, with your enthusiasm and energy, like bring people together. And one of the things that I always think about when I think of you is how you really create that space for people to be themselves. And I think when we're growing our businesses, when we're doing things, when we're challenging ourselves, when we have challenging times behind the scenes as well, it can be quite difficult to go, hi, yes, I'm really got all of my shit together and everything is going super well. But you allow people just to be them, and you meet them where they're at. And that is such a gift that you have, because there is this temptation somehow that we all have to just keep showing up with it and be all sparkly. And sometimes that's not the reality. So I want to start with one thing that we spoke about on DMs, which was this year. I think I did a live and you responded to me about it, of like, this year is like the year of no more messing about, essentially, and like, let's see what's possible. And of course, when you have that moment of let's see what's possible, it brings up all of the things. And I've certainly personally had a lot of questions this year, that some of which I've not wanted to answer. But what prompted that feeling for you of, all right, why not? Let's see, let's go.
So in September, Lily went to school, so she went to school for the first time. So she's just about to turn 5. And I think that for the last 10 years, I've basically been rooted in motherhood first and foremost. That's been my priority. So I've always had a little one at home, and I've created businesses, a business and another business that has fallen out of the reality of the situation I'm in. I set up Wiki Places for Kids because I found myself on maternity leave and didn't know what to do. I was disappointed in what I found online. I didn't feel like there was anything rooted in authenticity. And I was like, I've given my history of working in project management and digital land. I was like, I'll just build one. I'll build one then. So I built one. And then
it's going to be me then who's going to build this thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then the WikiBiz network, which was only up till recently called the Wiki Mama network. I created that because during lockdown, I found it very difficult to run the other business and run the house and be all the things without that female vibe, that energy, that connection around me. I felt so lonely. I couldn't be my best self. So I created the sort of a network of everybody I'd met pretty much online around me, joined them into a WhatsApp group. And, and that's how that group kind of came about. And then it's turned into a business. So, but the point being that I had everything that I've been doing for the last 10 years has always been revolving around my central role as mum. Lily's gone into school, and although she was in nursery 4 days a week previously, so it's not a huge change really in the grand scheme of things, but what it has done is it's actually created this ginormous mind shift and mindset shift, because I think that I've been using her and having a child at home as a little bit of an excuse constantly to slightly hide behind, well, I can't quite deliver on my business in this way because really I've got to be at home. I've got Lily at home. I can't deliver on all those things. And so when she went to school,
that is, just as an aside, that is a real thing sometimes. Yeah. And I think like sometimes the whole thing of being a parent is like, unexpected things happen where you're like, right, okay, so we're all in the bed then for the next 4 days because we've got neurovirus or whatever. And I think as women, we assume that, well, we're told we should be able to do all of the things. And I don't believe that it's possible. I don't believe you can do all of the things and show up 10 out of 10 in every area of your life. I don't buy it. I certainly haven't been able to figure it out personally.
No, I think that the problem I've got is that I know that, but I'm still striving to, and I'm constantly then burning out in all the areas. And so I think when she's gone into school full time, it's opened up this space where I feel like, okay, well, now I can truly start. I can truly launch. I've got this opportunity to, to take it to the next level, and as much as that is wonderful to suddenly have that feeling of freedom to actually do and be all the things that I need to be, actually what's happened is it's created this enormous pressure suddenly to bring it, to deliver, to bring in the money that you didn't bring in before, to match that previous income, and to do all the things and to be all the things. And as I was just saying to you before we hit record, actually what it's done is it's created a ginormous amount of stress to an extent. As much as I'm super excited and actually, like, on paper and looking at it, my business is actually now doing the best it's ever done before. It's great. There is still I still need to try and replace an income and a salary that I had previously, and it's not, and we're getting there, but we're not quite there. Mm-hmm. So there is just a constant ginormous stress, and I'm trying, I suppose, to match up my expectations of, being, having to deliver this for the family and still trying to get to where I'm getting to. So it's like, I'm it's been I'm in a big transition where I'm just trying to figure out actually what is my identity and what is my purpose and what is this new version of me and what does that look like in business. And I think, I just thought, I'm gonna hit September and I'm gonna, Lily's gonna be in school, I can literally fly. But what I've actually found is that there's some inner work to do now, because that little excuse, which was a big excuse, that Lily was at home, is not the reason that some things aren't flying forward. Now I'm realizing I've actually got to deal with some of these demons which are sitting in here kind of telling me that I'm, imposter syndrome, that I'm not enough, that and those are the things I've kind of have come, especially this week, it's sort of come to a bit of a head. So it's a really interesting time to have a call with you.
Yeah, I relate completely, and thank you for being so honest, because most people would choose to skip over that and be like, oh, it's fine though, it's whatever, because that's their default mechanism or something like that. And I know so many people who are listening are not listening when they're necessarily, sparky and feeling like 10 out of 10 best selves. That's why I created, it makes me emotional every time. That's why I created this, because people are listening to it, and other podcasts are available at those times where they've maybe are in that swirl, are in that, oh my, I don't know how to maneuver through this. It all feels all consuming, and parenthood can feel like that, and throw in a business as well. It can be all of the things. And I do think there are these chapters of life where suddenly you're going to have to pull out some of the weeds. And like, I always use nature as a brilliant analogy, that sometimes in my own life, I can keep putting these lovely flowers in, but sometimes it's like, okay, if you want to redesign how this looks and feels, you're going to have to get the wheelbarrow out, and it's going to be heavy lifting, and you're going to have to pull some weeds out. And some of those weeds you're not going to like, because you don't know what's underneath. And that inner work, as you mentioned, can feel tough. However, if there is that willingness to have a go and look at it on the other side, there is also that beautiful moment where you're like, okay, that's what it is then. Thank you so much, weed. I'm going to take you to the tip, and we're not going to talk about this anymore.
No, exactly. Do you know what? It's so interesting that you talk about nature, because just last week, or was it earlier this week, I posted something on Instagram, and my analogy looks similar but slightly different. And so I am currently, so my analogy is about the butterfly. So I feel that, like, I grew my business as this little caterpillar, and I've been and I've been going through the motions, and I do truly believe in my heart that in a not very long time, but in a short time, that I am going to emerge and come out, and that butterfly is going to be there, and it's something super exciting, and I know that that's coming. But right now, the truth is, I am in that chrysalis, which means I am inside. I feel like I've got to go in, that I've got to figure some stuff out. Because I don't have all the answers right now, but I know that, it's, that amazing thing where the caterpillar goes in and then it comes out like that, and there's some magic and weirdness that happens in the middle. Nobody sees that. That's kind of what's going on for me right now. I know that I'm in a period of reinvention, and I said to you just before we came on, I'm making some huge decisions about what my business looks like now, whether there's some parts of the business that I need to break up with to be able to actually come out the other side, and for that butterfly to not only emerge but then also to fly. And it's just it's a really confusing, part exciting, really scary, upsetting, weird time to be in. And I definitely feel I've had a really horrible, funny week this week, actually. And yesterday I really felt like what I just wanted to do was like suck myself in and away and like actually put myself somewhere really separate. And like the more I think about it, and just think I just want to get inside that little chrysalis, like that little brown thing, and wrap myself up in there and just sit in there for a while. And I feel like and I think that's okay to need that. But as mums, we kind of can't go into the chrysalis, and this is the problem I've currently got. I'm struggling because, as much as I kind of feel like I want to retreat, I want to get away from the glare of Instagram, for example. I want to get away from the pressure of delivering everyday life and for everybody. When you're a mum, you can't really go anywhere. And when you're a business owner, actually, and you run your own show, you actually really can't go anywhere either. Don't have staff to hand off to. I haven't got a deputy mum to, like, I have a dad, I have a husband and a dad, so I suppose he's like deputy mum, but it's just different. We have different roles, and you still have to bring it, don't you? You still have to.
Yeah,
show.
you don't really get a day off, even if you are like technically not there. That's when as I was saying to you, that's when I have the 423 moment, like, oh, let me think about all of these things back from 2017. And it's like, what? But it's interesting what you say, that because there's a pressure with, especially if you run an online business and if you're the face of it, that you have to be on it and delivering and visible and all the rest of it. And a lot of, I guess, and we've spoken about this privately, but a lot of the healing stuff that goes along with life, when we have challenges, when we have difficult things. And I've certainly gone into this next decade, my fifth decade into my 40s. I've really made a decision to let go of a lot of things. And again, as you've spoken about, when you're letting go of things, it's not just like, all right, see ya, and just dropping it. It's painful sometimes. There's this sense of like clinging on to it, and it feels tight and tangled up. But also, I know that when I'm in that state, I don't want to heal publicly. And this is one of the things that sometimes I see these events on Instagram and I go, I'd love to do that, but I don't want somebody to use my healing for content. I don't like it when you go and somebody's going, so let's like share. I saw something the other day, an advert for a course, and somebody was sharing like one of their traumas, and you could see the whole conversation about her family. And I was like, this is not for advertising purposes. And it's quite a tricky maneuver sometimes, where you're trying to keep all of the plates spinning.
Yeah, no, it is. I think we're spread so thinly as parents and as business owners as well. I think the reason I'm having to make some big decisions at the moment is COVID had a very big role in everyone's life, but in my business it was a bit of a game changer to a certain extent. So because obviously I was working with businesses that were all about days out, when we hit lockdown, my business essentially shut overnight, and that is why then I created the Wiki Mama Network as it was. And I changed it to the Wiki Biz Network recently because I didn't want to. It's not just for mums. It is a female founders. You don't have to be a mum to be in the group. But it was Wiki Mama because I am known as the Wiki Mama on Instagram, and so that was how that name came about. But it was a watershed moment because it allowed this other side of me to evolve, the Wikibiz network to create and to build and everything that's happened since, the events, the PR side of things that I do for other people, and also I've become a podcaster myself and a radio host. So
I know, how brilliant. And also I was going to say, like, your social media is such an incredible asset and community, and what you've built there is phenomenal, because I know that when we spoke several years ago, that was very much part of your plan. And I want to, take this moment for you to recognize what you've done, because when we spoke, you were very much in that, like, I want this, but I've no idea how I'm going to do it. And you figured it out. And that is incredible. You've absolutely figured it out. And most people go, oh, well, it just didn't happen quick enough, or, I'll just, do something. And no, you've been not relentless, because that sounds like an exhausting thing, but you've committed to it, and you figured.
I mean, it's so funny that you say figured it out, because I'm just having one of those weeks where I just feel
I don't know anything. I
don't feel like it. The truth is that I think I've fallen in and out of love with Instagram on so many occasions, but I do keep showing up. I sometimes have breaks from it because I'm just like, oh, you're killing me.
Bad boyfriend, isn't it? But it's not even your boyfriend. It's just a familiar friend. Read into that what you will.
Exactly. It's yeah, so it has grown, and but the truth is, it's not been as you just said, it's not been a quick win. It's like I grow a little bit, and then I plateau for ages, and I'll grow again a little bit, and even with the likes of the reels that can transform people's business, accounts overnight, that actually to date hasn't happened for me. I've had some successful ones reaching 900,000 odd and whatever, but I haven't then got 50,000 followers as a result of it. All these promises that keep getting made by, I've been on Instagram for 30 days and I'm already at 100,000. Ooh, good for you. It's like, oh, go on.
But Instagram, who do you know, Mr. Algorithm? This elusive dude who's lurking about.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's been what's it called, a labor of love. And I feel like my growth reflects so much about like the growth of the business as well, and my life, and it's almost like it would be weird if suddenly it had shot up to 100,000 and everything overnight, because actually it feels like everything for a reason. It's just following the natural organic growth. It's authentic, it's real. And you said at the beginning of this chat, you connect with people, and that's it. I will always bring my real genuine self to any situation. Even if I only met you 5 minutes ago, I find it very hard to just put on a fake kind of like, fake it till you make it, shoulder pads and high heels sort of thing. I'll tell you how it's going for me on that day. And then I think that just lets other people break down their barriers, and they can then just go, oh, do you know what? I'm so glad you said that, because, and then suddenly you've got that rapport and the trust. And, and I think that if I was somebody who just came on here and said, oh yeah, Instagram, basically you just have to follow this process, and once you follow that process, then then you'll shoot up through the numbers. I'm sorry, I just do not agree. I think that life gets in the way. I can't be posting on Instagram 3 times a day, following all the rules, writing all this stuff, having a hook. Oh, it's so much pressure. It doesn't work for me. My life means that I won't post for 3 days, because I haven't posted in the last couple of days because it's just been a horrible little when I've had about 12 hours sleep, as I said to you, in 3 days, and I don't feel like my best self. Actually, I feel great chatting to you now, because this is connection, and that's what I need. It's like that connection, and even though we're not in the same room, the energy is there, and it's nice. So, but I've been in a slump the last couple of days, and so I'm not going to show up on Instagram. So I'm not going to follow its rules. I can't just be that person that can just, and I think, I don't know, I find it really irritating when I see those people who have had overnight success, because I think for 99% of us, that isn't how it works. And it sets a bar for people that is unattainable, and it pushes us to that place where we feel like we're not enough, like we're not doing it right.
Wrong.
Yeah, exactly. We can't, you've got the comparisonitis thing, and it's so I don't know how whether they know how, what's the word, well, not destroying, but how damaging, actually how damaging that can be for the majority of people. They think it's inspirational, they think it's, but actually I think it's just sucking normal people in who are running lovely, decent businesses into a space where they feel under ginormous pressure to achieve something which seems to only be able to be achieved by the tiny percentage. I think it's really stressful.
Where were we? So when we've spoken about purpose, and almost that sense of like when you're making decisions or when you're coming back to that place that feels grounded, clear. It's almost like when you see tents finally being folded away and then everything's kind of neatly back together. It's like, right, okay, I can get this in the car or I can strap this on my back. When you have that version of yourself, and I know we're human beings, it's rarely going to be like, oh my goodness, like everything's perfect and sorted. But what practical or mindset or psychological things like really help you to get back into that moment where you're going, I feel like I can think straight again. I feel like I can make some decisions. I feel like I can move in a way that feels good.
So I trust in my gut feeling so much. So I follow this something called the human design. Have you heard of the human?
I have, but I don't know. I don't really know what it is.
No, I mean, and I definitely am not the person to explain it. So I
Why?
can't
This is your note, listeners, to go and Google.
Google it, but so I have had my human design read, and it is incredible that it's how it kind of it's about how all of your energy is basically connected between all of your what's it called, your chakras, really, your like your root, sacral, heart, throat, crown, and it's kind of everybody's is very different. Everyone's got their own unique human design. What mine says is that I am very much either a hell yeah or a no.
Right.
And to follow my gut, basically, and my gut feeling. So if somebody said to me, do you want to do blah, straight away my gut will be, and if that's the case, I should be a no. I shouldn't let my head sort of talk me into something, because generally down the road it will pan out to not be right.
Yes.
I will get a physical response when something is a yes. Like I'll get a rush in my tummy, or a feeling of butterflies, or a strong like and a sense of like, oh, that's exciting. Like I will visibly light up. So mindset wise, I think it's just to remind myself to constantly follow what my gut is saying. So it's like, it's just basically going back into myself and kind of going, what feels right? So this is the process I'm kind of going through right now, where I'm making lots and lots of decisions about what does my first business look like going into this new, butterfly world of like,
yeah, lovely.
So when I come out of this process that I'm going through right now, what does that first business look like? And also, what does the second business look like? Are they the same? Am I breaking up with one of them completely in order to come out of there? Or am I changing what that first business? And it's like, I'm calling it a business, but really it's a relationship that I have been nurturing for 7 years. I have been building this baby, another one, for all this.
It's not enough. It's always that like, let's just throw in another one in the mix.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really, really hard to let go of what the vision for it was at the beginning, because to an extent, because of COVID and other reasons, it was never fully realized, I suppose, in the way that I planned it for it to be. And I'm in this process now kind of going, do you know what? That is okay. It doesn't mean it failed. It just changed. It's just become something else. And so the big decisions I've been making are, do I take that baby with me as I come out of this over here? Or do I leave it there and go, that's okay? Or maybe it's the same baby, but she looks different. Maybe she has a facelift and a slight change to her inner structure, in order that she actually fits really well with what's coming over here. And this is a big decision that I'm making at the moment, and the process I'm kind of going through is what feels right for me now. Because I tell you what doesn't feel right is carrying that business over there. What I do know is that, as it truly sits and stands right now, doesn't work. So the mindset, I suppose, I'm trying to come back to your question and remember the question, because I'm perimenopausal. I'm like, remember the question. But the mindset I go, so the process I'm going through is to kind of go, well, if you did that with it, does that feel right? And no. Okay, if you did that with it, does that feel right? If you left it go completely, does that feel right? No, also no. So it's like, I think I'm just going through this process of like, what do these two businesses need to look like to feel like they fit perfectly hand in hand together, that fits well with this new purpose and identity that you are forming for yourself, so that you feel like you can manage it. Because what I know is that what I have over here pre-chrysalis is that the right word even, you know, like brown thing,
yes.
is
the bit where he basically is eating all of the food and needs to kind of have a lie down. Yeah.
It's in that, the cocoon, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Cocoon, yeah.
Pre-cocoon is not manageable, is too much. The plates are too many. I've spread too thinly. And as a result, neither of them, if they're little birds in a nest, neither of them are getting enough.
Yes.
So changing those and what they look like and bringing them out of the cocoon over here differently. And I think what it looks like, honestly, is, and this is what I'm doing with all the things I'm doing, it's just simplifying. So it's like in my life, for example, in my house, I'm trying right now to massively declutter, because what I've realized is I've created a house and a life and an environment that I sit in. Look, I'm just like, oh my God, don't look behind me, don't look over there either. But
I could spin around and show you madness, like, yeah. But again, it's another thing, like when you're running your business, I'm not going, gosh, let me fold up these jumpers in this particular, like, I'm literally like, have you got uniform? Great, perfect, okay, we're winning today. Brilliant.
Exactly. I need to declutter my house, my life, my business, because it's too much and it's unmanageable. The reason I can't stay on top of like the house basically is we have just too much. The kids get out the kids like get things out more quickly than I can possibly put them away. They go through more clothes than I can possibly fold and get back upstairs. Not that it's my job, but I'm just going to be honest, it feels like it fits on my side, not fits, it doesn't fit there, but it's on my side more than the other side at the moment, than my deputy mum. He's not taking as many of the roles as he should be in that way. And I have to do the same. And I'm going through a process right now of decluttering, I think, my business, both sides, so that it can come through this cocoon process and then come out and be something that is simpler, cleaner, more clearer as like what it is, and much more manageable, so that I can actually, you know, be light enough with them that I can fly. Because at the moment, I tell you what, I think I would, if I carried them through the cocoon as they are right now, I'd be a butterfly holding 2 bundles of stuff under me, walking like along like this and not flying.
And it's that sense of, sometimes one of the questions I've asked myself is, when things are not simplified, why am I allowing that to be the case? That's been something I've been working with, where I thought, why am I overcomplicating this? And sometimes that is my tendency, is to give more and be all of the things and and I just was like, why? And I'll tell you, it's like, well, because if I don't, then what if I'm not enough? And there's all of those sorts of things, and also working out what my role is. So I went through a bit of a simplification earlier in the year, and I changed over all of my technology, which was like 14 hours of a weekend. Fortunately, Matt was around, but 14 hours not being around as I would be usually as a parent. But I thought, actually, if I put these things in place now and I simplify it, I can then, based on the butterfly version that I want to be, I can then fully step into that role. And what I was ending up doing was, I had a very complicated system that I became Dave from IT, essentially, because I was so worried that the system was clunky, that it wasn't working, or that I hadn't set something up. And I thought, hang on a minute, why have I created a brand new career for myself, trying to do all these fancy things behind the scenes? Why don't I just simplify it and fully step into the role that I know that I'm supposed to be. Because when you run your own gig, in the beginning, certainly you're all of the things. And then, of course, the conversation comes up of like, well, if I fully step into that role, I'm going to have to be bright and shiny in there. So what does that mean? And you then open it up. And I love what you said sometimes about, that doing that flow chart of, if I do this, will it give me the result? And that visual really helps. And sometimes to see the opposite. So I've had it with my portfolio career, is like, if I was just an actor for all of my life, would that fulfill me? No, it wouldn't. If I was just a coach, would that fulfill me? No. I love the mix of all of the things. So sometimes flipping the question on its head will reveal another answer. And I always think that ultimately we're all going to end up marrying Brad Pitt, because those quizzes used to do like, and you would marry Brad Pitt. Oh, bingo, great.
That's it. It's exactly the same process I've been going through. It's like, if I just forge forward as not just, but if over here I'm the owner of a WikiBiz network, which my goal is to take around the country and to evolve it like that, it's like, that's massive. But is that enough? I don't think it is, because I'm still very much in the heart of me, the wiki mama, the days out influencer, the one who loves to encourage other families out the house and make it look doable, and and to create those memories. And actually, that's the bit I'm not prepared to divorce. I'm not prepared to break up with that part. So that's the decision. It's like, well, what does that look like over here? And to another point that you just said about like, why do we just make things more complicated, and why is it hard to simplify? Why do we keep adding more things? And the reason is because it's so much easier, and it's so much easier to add more stuff than it is to actually stop and do the audit of the old, because actually to stop and do that audit of what means actually stopping for a minute. And we've got ourselves, I think, into such a place as a society, as a culture, as mums, and that we are constantly trying to run forwards at a million miles an hour. So the idea of stopping seems impossible. Like, well, how do I stop?
Alarm going off, but hopefully it will stop in a sec.
Oh, I can't hear it. It seems impossible, because you're constantly, I don't have a business transformation director working in my company whose job it is to work on business transformation for me, change, what's it called? Change, whatever it's called, sort of thing. I change whatever. So I don't have that person. That is me as well. So it's almost like you've got to somehow compartmentalize part of you, which is like, right, I'm going to do change management and do the stop and the business transformation piece here. However, you've still got to deliver all this stuff, keep moving forwards, keep responding to the algorithm, keep making sure your kids have got new shoes and they've turned up to the club on time, keep moving over here. It feels so hard. And I think what I'm doing right now, and it sounds like you've already done it, and well done, because actually it's really inspiring to hear it, is you've gone through, I need to stop, and if I don't, I'm going to burn out. I know that. This week I actually asked my friend who's a counsellor the question, what does burnout look like? Because I feel like I am dangerously close, if not one foot in already. I was like, what does having a breakdown actually look like? And I'm possibly being too honest on here, but I think the conclusion I've come to is, I don't know if I want to know the answer, and I don't want to see it, and I don't want to look it straight in the face. So if I don't want to look that straight in the face, you do have to stop, and you do have to do this process of auditing the old in order to move forward. And I think I'm getting some clarity around what the new version of both of those businesses looks like. And actually, and I just got it. So my stomach, having visualized what that looks like, my stomach just told me that that's exciting. So it's like, my gut, my sacral just responded and went, yes, hell yeah. So and that is really exciting, and I feel lit up, talking about that, which means I know that that's a direction travel I should go in. Whereas even 48 hours ago, I was in a very dark space, horrid, huge, ugly, sobbing cries, because I was very much not in a space of clarity. I didn't know what that looked like. And in fact, the idea of splitting up with my business, or breaking up with it in the way that I set it up to be 7 years ago, was just heartbreaking. I was like, oh, so it hasn't worked, or it hasn't, and it has worked. It really has. when I think about it, it's allowed me to have this 7 years, this last 7 or 8 years with my children in the way that I wanted it to. But clearly, this is a new season. And just going to go back to the very first question you asked me about, what does it look like coming into this new season, it's, I think that I just wanted to pick up, I think on September the 4th, when she went back to school, I just thought, got some space, carry on where you left off before, keep moving forward. And
It's
actually,
like I'll just click into the seatbelt and off we go. And
what's happened is I have literally, like, if those of you listening, you won't be able to see this, but I've literally gone boom, 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 and then I have crashed, literally not working, and I have to stop and do this, get into my cocoon, and then come out. So
I was giving this analogy to a client the other day because she's really gone at a lick, like the last kind of 2 or 3 months we've been working together. And then she's had moments where she sort of said, whew, I almost need to stop and breathe. And I said, that's fine, because that's what aeroplanes do. They go, I'm flying, I'm having a great time. But those aeroplanes have to ground, and they have to refuel, and they have to have a switch around. They have to have a good clean sometimes. Well, we hope they do. And actually, that's a valuable part of the process. That's not the case of like, well, it's not working hard. The aeroplane is like, I'm just grounded, I'm just cool. Especially if like they're trying to make the trip to Sydney, they're like, I'm not going to Sydney from the UK in one go. I'm going to stop in Singapore and like just rest and have a moment. And the thing with society is it says the opposite. It says, no, just keep flying, keep going. And we can't, because actually we get so much great stuff from the grounding. There's sometimes where I say, right, you're not getting the answers, you're having a big cry, so it's just time to close that laptop and not do anything else, because you're no good to anybody. It's almost like after a hen do back in your 20s, like you're just gonna have to go to bed and have some cheesy chips, and I'm going to put a pint of water next to your bed, and I don't want to see you until the morning.
Yes. I was just thinking that I feel like you haven't asked me for any advice or a tip, but I feel like the thing that I'm hearing loud and clear from what you're just saying, and from what's been going on for me this week, is that I think that I spend so much time trying to looking elsewhere and looking outside of myself for the decision making, for the strategy, for the for the direction of travel, for the answers, for the permission, maybe to do things or to stop things. And actually that period of stopping it, like go to bed, take your water. I think the clarity that I've got finally this week, it came out of lots of processes that I put in place. I did go on a great course, and it really like got some things going, set some fires off in my head. But when I got the clarity, that was when I actually stopped, and I was alone and off of my phone, and actually going inward, the answers started to come to me.
Yes.
And I usually I won't trust that. I won't wait for that. I want somebody who I consider to be more experienced, to be more professional, to be more strategic, to tell me the answer. I look to my business coach and be like, so what am I doing? And, or I look to somebody else and say, but the truth is, and I hate this, and I hate it when people say it to me, you've got the answers. They say that, and I'm like, if I had the bloody answers, I wouldn't have asked you.
I actually had a very humbling moment today, because I went to my son's kind of open morning where we look at the books, and he had this visual of like he'd drawn around his hand, and it was all the PH. I can never get the phrase, but the kind of personal, social stuff. And it was, the question was something like, who is in your village, who is in your community, that helps you and supports you. And he put mummy, daddy, friends, family, and me. And it just made me like, you've got it, kid. Like, that's who it is. And I was like, oh my God, you're 7 and you know that. But again, it's just a reminder to us. But I'm going to have to bring this to a close, because I'm in a batching podcast moment today. But I know that people are going to have questions and thoughts and feelings. If they want to get in touch with you, if they want to join your business, your network, and be supported and looked after and find that rapport, find those pals who are going to see them and hold them and support them and champion them, where should they go?
So yes, I am on Instagram as wikiplacesforkids_official, and that is where you'll see the full version, full fat wacky side of my life, all the days out and all of the, I suppose the non-business side, but it is business really. But and then I'm also at Wikibiz Network as well, and that's kind of like the front window, the sort of shop window of all the different events and the different things that we do over there. So yeah, come and visit me at either. The Wikibiz Network is just, my heart just sings when I think about it. It's such a lovely space for that connection and that support, but it isn't just about making friends, because at this point in our lives we've got loads of friends, but it's about
what we don't see.
Yeah, but it's about friends. It's about having those friends and connections in business who are really, really gonna sort of push you forward and give you those opportunities. And I love connecting brands and businesses together, and seeing what flourishes from that. So yeah, if anybody's interested, that's where I am.
They will be. And I can't wait to see what this evolution is going to be for you next. And there's a real power. That sounds very American, but there's a real power in acknowledging all of the stages. And I think that you get to be like the most multicolored, to go back to the butterfly version of yourself when you go in to come out. And I can't wait to see what that is for you. And as always, I'll be cheering you on every step of the way and be like, look at her go. But also the thing is, where you are right now is absolutely perfect too. So Thank you, Susie. Thank you so much.
It's been brilliant being on. Thank you so much.
You're amazing. Thank you. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. If you haven't already, feel free to rate, review, and subscribe for all the brand new episodes. If you want to go deeper with my support, check out my freebies house and unlock the rooms you choose. nickyraby.com/freebies house. I also have workshops, programs, and one-on-one bespoke offerings. For prices, availability, or just to have a chat with me, go to nickyraby.com. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with me and my guests, and I'll see you next time.